When the Galactic Council demanded humanity's submission or extinction, Earth chose the unthinkable, awakening their planet's consciousness and rewriting the fate of the galaxy itself. The massive holographic display flickered to life in the United Nations Assembly Hall, casting an eerie blue glow across the faces of Earth's representatives. Ambassador Chen Wei straightened in her chair as the image of the Galactic Council's High Arbitrator materialized before them, a towering, crystalline being whose very presence seemed to drain the warmth from the room. Humans of Earth, the Arbitrator's voice resonated with the authority of 10,000 years of galactic dominance. You have been summoned to answer for your crimes against the natural order. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The assembled delegates exchanged glances. They had expected this day would come eventually, but not like this, not with such naked hostility. What crimes? Ambassador Chen asked, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. We have adhered to every galactic treaty, paid our dues to the Council, and contributed our fair share to silence. The arbitrator's form pulsed with angry light. Your species has committed the gravest sin possible in our galaxy. You have dared to advance. A stunned silence fell over the assembly. In the back rows, military advisors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They had suspected something like this was coming, but hearing it stated so bluntly still sent chills down their spines. The arbitrator continued, its voice now taking on a tone of condescending patience, like a parent explaining basic facts to a child. For 12 million years, the Galactic Council has maintained perfect order. Each species knows its place. The Zephyrians mine asteroids. The Colliery transport goods. The Nexians process data. And humans. Humans were supposed to be laborers, manual workers. Nothing more. Ambassador Chen's jaw tightened. We've never been told we had limitations on our development, because you were never supposed to be capable of understanding such concepts. The arbitrator's form flared again. When we first encountered your species 50 years ago, you were exactly as expected: primitive, violent, technologically backward, perfect for the menial tasks that keep our galaxy functioning. The weight of the revelation settled over the room like a suffocating blanket. Earth's contact with the galaxy hadn't been the benevolent first contact they'd been told about. It had been a job interview for the worst position imaginable. But you, the arbitrator's voice dripped with disgust, you had the audacity to learn, to grow, to innovate. In 50 short years, you've advanced from barely spacefaring to developing technologies that threaten the very foundation of our order. General Martinez, Earth's military liaison to the Council, leaned forward. What exactly are you accusing us of? The arbitrator gestured, and the hologram shifted to display a series of images. Human settlements on Mars, the orbital shipyards around Europa, the fusion reactors powering Earth's cities, and finally, the experimental FTL drives being tested. In the outer system, you have exceeded your designated technological ceiling by 847%. Your population has achieved a 23% increase in average intelligence over the past 2 generations. Most damning of all, you have begun to question the Council's authority. The creature's form seemed to grow larger, more menacing. This cannot be allowed to continue. The arbitrator's image shifted, becoming less threatening, but somehow more ominous. When it spoke again, its voice carried the weight of absolute authority. The Galactic Council has convened an emergency session to address the human problem. After extensive deliberation, we have reached a decision that serves the greater good of all galactic civilization. Ambassador Chen felt her blood run cold. She had heard that phrase before, in history books describing humanity's darkest hours. Humanity will be given a choice, the arbitrator announced. You may voluntarily submit to neural regression therapy. This process will reduce your species' cognitive abilities to their proper levels, approximately 60% of your current capacity. You will retain enough intelligence to perform your designated functions, but will lose the dangerous creativity and ambition that threatens galactic stability. Horrified gasps echoed through the assembly. General Martinez stood up so quickly his chair toppled backward. You're talking about lobotomizing our entire species. We prefer the term optimization, the arbitrator replied coldly. This procedure will be administered to every human being over the age of 10. Children younger than that will be raised in council-approved facilities to ensure proper mental development. Dr. Sarah Kim, Earth's chief scientist, found her voice. And if we refuse, the arbitrator's form pulsed with what might have been satisfaction. Then humanity will face the consequences of its rebellion. The Council controls trade routes for 10,000 star systems. We command fleets that number in the millions. We have weapons that can extinguish stars and technologies that make your greatest achievements look like cave paintings. The chamber fell silent as the implication sank in. Earth's population was 8 billion strong, but they were isolated, outnumbered, and outgunned by a galactic civilization that had existed since before humans had discovered fire. Economic sanctions will be the first step, the arbitrator continued, seeming to enjoy the despair spreading across human faces. No species will be permitted to trade with Earth. Your colonies will be cut off from supplies. Your ships will be denied access to Council space, which, I should remind you, encompasses 94% of the galaxy. Ambassador Chen's mind raced. Without galactic trade, Earth's expanded population couldn't be sustained. The colonies would die within months. Humanity would be forced back into their solar system, trapped and slowly strangling. Should economic pressure prove insufficient, the arbitrator's voice grew darker. Military action will follow, not invasion that would be wasteful. Simply containment. Your sun will be surrounded by an energy barrier, cutting off all light and heat. Your species will have approximately 37 days to reconsider before the last human freezes to death. General Martinez's face had gone pale, but his voice remained steady. How long do we have to decide? 70 to standard hours, came the reply. The Council is not unreasonable. We understand this is a significant adjustment for your species. But understand this: these terms are not negotiable, compliance or extinction. Those are your options. The hologram flickered and began to fade. But the arbitrator's final words rang out clearly. Choose wisely, humans. The galaxy is watching. The silence in the assembly hall stretched for nearly a full minute after the arbitrator's image disappeared. Then, chaos erupted. We can't seriously be considering this, Dr. Kim shouted over the din. They're asking us to voluntarily make ourselves into a slave race. And what's the alternative? President Morrison's voice cut through the noise. Let 8 billion people die to preserve our pride. Ambassador Chen raised her hand for silence. As the noise gradually died down, she spoke with careful precision. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with here. General Martinez, what's our military assessment? The general's expression was grim. It's not good. Our entire space fleet consists of 47 ships, mostly exploratory vessels with minimal armament. Intelligence suggests the Council has over 2 million military vessels, some of them larger than our biggest cities. Their technology is at least a century ahead of ours in most areas. So, we can't fight, President Morrison stated flatly. Not conventionally. No. General Martinez hesitated, then continued. But there might be other options. Dr. Kim leaned forward. What kind of options? The kind that end with us all dead if they don't work, Martinez replied grimly. But before we discuss that, we need to address the elephant in the room. They're not just threatening us, they're threatening the very essence of what makes us human. Representative Jackson from the African Federation stood up. With respect, General, being human won't matter much if we're all frozen corpses floating in space, won't it? Dr. Kim challenged. Is survival worth anything if we have to give up everything that makes life worth living? They're not just talking about reducing our intelligence, they're talking about destroying our capacity for growth, for dreams, for pushing beyond our limits. They want to turn us into biological robots, Ambassador Chen nodded slowly. The question isn't just whether we can accept these terms. It's whether the beings we'd become after the procedure would even be us anymore. President Morrison rubbed his temples. But if we refuse, everyone dies. Including the children who never got a chance to make this choice. Do they, though? Dr. Kim asked suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. Do they really all die? Or do some of us survive long enough to find another way? General Martinez caught her meaning first. You're talking about the colony ships. Exactly. We have permanent settlements on Mars, Europa, Titan, and 3 asteroid mining stations. If we could get enough people off-world before the barrier goes up... The council said they'd cut off the colonies first, Representative Jackson pointed out. They said they'd cut off supplies, Dr. Kim corrected. But if the colonies could become self-sufficient... Double quotes. Ambassador Chen's eyes widened as the implications hit her. You're talking about a continuity plan. Sacrifice the majority to save enough to preserve the species. I'm talking about refusing to go quietly into that good night. Dr. Kim replied firmly. If they want to destroy us, let them try. But we don't make it easy for them. President Morrison looked around the room. Is that really what we've come to? Abandoning Earth? Not abandoning, General Martinez said quietly. Fighting. They expect us to either submit or die quietly. What they don't expect is for us to punch back. The room fell silent again as the weight of the decision settled over them. They weren't just choosing between submission and death anymore. They were choosing between certain slavery and uncertain freedom. Ambassador Chen stood up slowly. I think we need to hear what the General's other options are before we make any final decisions. General Martinez activated the secure holographic display, and the assembly hall's lights dimmed. What appeared before them was unlike anything they had expected. Technical specifications, energy readings, and tactical assessments that painted a very different picture of humanity's situation. Ladies and gentlemen, Martinez began, what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels. Only 12 people on Earth knew about this before today. The display showed a sleek, angular ship unlike any in Earth's known fleet. It was larger than their biggest vessels, but moved with an organic fluidity that seemed almost alive. 3 months ago, one of our deep space monitoring stations detected something impossible, a ship using technology that doesn't match any known galactic civilization. When we investigated, we found this. The image shifted to show the ship's interior. The technology was clearly advanced, but it had an almost ethereal quality, as if it existed partially in another dimension. Dr. Kim gasped. Those energy signatures... They're off the charts. What is it? We don't know exactly, Martinez admitted, but we know who sent it. The message was clear enough. A new voice filled the chamber, not the cold, authoritative tone of the arbitrator, but something warmer, more musical, yet carrying an undercurrent of immense power. People of Earth, we are the architects. We have watched your species with great interest since your first tentative steps into space. What you are about to face, we have faced before. President Morrison leaned forward. The architects, I've never heard of them in any council records. That's because the council doesn't want you to know about us, the voice continued. 12 million years ago, we were where you are now, a young species with unlimited potential. Facing the council's demand for compliance, we refused. The hologram shifted to show star charts, but not like any the humans had seen before. These showed the galaxy with vast regions marked in different colors: council space, neutral zones, and something else entirely. The war lasted 8,000 years. When it ended, the council controlled the inner galaxy and the established trade routes. But we... we claimed something far more valuable. We claimed the right to grow, to evolve, to become something greater than what we were. Ambassador Chen felt her heart racing. You're saying there's a resistance? Not a resistance, the voice corrected, a civilization. The council rules the galaxy's body, but we are its spirit. Every species that has ever refused their limitations, every world that has chosen freedom over safety, every being that has dared to dream beyond their assigned role, they find their way to us eventually. The star charts expanded, showing the true scope of what lay beyond Council space. It was vast, not just star systems, but entire spiral arms of the galaxy that existed outside the Council's influence. The Council fears you, humans, because you represent something they thought they had eliminated: rapid adaptation. In 50 years, you have achieved what most species take millennia to accomplish. You don't just learn, you innovate. You don't just survive, you thrive. General Martinez cleared his throat. What exactly are you offering us? A choice they don't want you to know you have, the voice replied. Submit to the Council and lose your souls. Resist and face extinction. Or join us and discover what humanity is truly capable of becoming. The hologram shifted one final time, showing ships unlike anything in the galaxy, vessels that seemed to bend reality around them, stations that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and beings that had evolved beyond the physical limitations of their origins. The ship we sent you contains the technology to evacuate your entire population, not to scattered colonies that can barely sustain themselves, but to a new home among the stars, where you can grow without limits, explore without boundaries, and become whatever you choose to be. Dr. Kim was studying the technical readouts with growing excitement. The energy requirements for this would be astronomical. How is it possible? Because, the voice said with what sounded like amusement, you're thinking like a species that still believes in limitations. The Council has spent millions of years teaching the galaxy that progress is dangerous, that growth leads to chaos, that the only safe path is stagnation. But we have learned the truth: stagnation is death, and growth is the only true form of life. President Morrison stood up slowly. And if we accept this offer, what happens to the Council? That, the voice replied, depends on what humanity chooses to become. The assembly hall buzzed with urgent conversations as delegates huddled in small groups, grappling with revelations that had shattered their understanding of galactic politics. 3 options now lay before humanity, each carrying consequences that would echo through history. Ambassador Chen called for order. We need to discuss this systematically. The Council's ultimatum still stands. We have less than 60 hours to respond. Dr. Kim was poring over the technical data from the architect ship. If these readings are accurate, they're not just offering us evacuation. They're offering us evolution. The technology here operates on principles that shouldn't be possible according to our current understanding of physics. That's exactly what worries me, President Morrison interjected. We're being asked to trust beings we know nothing about, using technology we don't understand, to abandon everything we've built on Earth. General Martinez pulled up tactical displays. From a military standpoint, both the Council and the architects clearly possess capabilities that dwarf our own. But there's a crucial difference: the Council is threatening us, while the architects are offering us a choice. Representative Jackson raised his hand. Has anyone considered that this might be exactly what the Council wants, to force us into the arms of their enemies? The room fell silent as the implication sank in. Ambassador Chen voiced what everyone was thinking: a setup. Make us desperate enough to accept help from the architects, then use that as justification for even harsher measures. It's possible, Dr. Kim admitted. But look at this data: the energy signatures, the dimensional folding technology, the quantum entanglement matrices. This isn't something that could be faked. The architects are real, and their capabilities are genuine. President Morrison studied the star charts still displayed above them. Even if we accept that the architects are legitimate, we're still talking about abandoning Earth, our homeworld, the cradle of our species. Is it abandonment, General Martinez asked quietly, or is it growth? Every species eventually leaves its birth world behind. Maybe this is just humanity's time. Dr. Kim looked up from her data analysis. There's something else we need to consider. The architect message mentioned that every species that chooses freedom eventually finds them. What if this is happening all over the galaxy? What if the councils control it as absolute as they claim? Ambassador Chen felt a spark of something she hadn't experienced since the crisis began. Hope. You're suggesting this isn't just about humanity's survival. It's about the future of galactic civilization itself. Exactly. The Council has maintained order through stagnation and fear. But if there's an alternative civilization out there, one based on growth and freedom, then this isn't just our choice, it's our chance to tip the balance. President Morrison rubbed his temples. But the risk ... if we're wrong, if this is a trap, or if the architects can't deliver on their promises, 8 billion people die. And if we submit to neural regression, Dr. Kim countered, 8 billion people stop being human. Is that really better than death? Representative Jackson stood up. I think we're overlooking the third option, calling the council's bluff. What if we refuse both offers and make them come to us? General Martinez shook his head. Our intelligence suggests they're not bluffing. The energy barrier technology is real, and they have the capability to implement it. But do they have the will? Jackson pressed. Think about it, they've ruled for 12 million years through intimidation and control. What happens to their authority if other species see them committing genocide against a species that was only guilty of learning too much? Ambassador Chen considered this a fair point. Exterminating us might create martyrs, inspire other species to resist, but it's a hell of a gamble to make with 8 billion lives. Dr. Kim suddenly straightened, her eyes wide with a new realization. Wait, what if we don't have to choose? Everyone turned to look at her. She was staring at the technical specifications with an expression of growing excitement. The architect ship, it's not just offering evacuation. Look at these power readings, the dimensional displacement capabilities. This isn't just a transport vessel, it's a mobile construction platform. General Martinez caught on first. You're thinking we could use it to build something here. Not something, Dr. Kim said, her voice rising with excitement. Everything. We could use their technology to make Earth itself mobile. Take our homeworld with us when we leave. The audacity of the idea left everyone speechless. Moving an entire planet was the stuff of science fiction, not practical politics. Is that even theoretically possible? President Morrison asked. Dr. Kim was already running calculations. According to their technical specifications, yes, difficult, dangerous, requiring more energy than our civilization has ever generated, but possible. Ambassador Chen felt the pieces clicking into place. So, we're not choosing between submission, death, or abandonment. We're choosing what kind of civilization we want to become. The next 18 hours saw the most intensive scientific and engineering collaboration in human history. Teams from every nation worked around the clock, analyzing the architect technology and developing what would become known as the Terra Exodus Protocol. Dr. Kim stood before a wall of holographic displays showing Earth surrounded by a complex network of dimensional anchors and energy conduits. The theoretical foundation is sound, she announced to the assembled leaders. We can move Earth, but the practical challenges are enormous. General Martinez pulled up resource allocation charts. We'd need to evacuate the outer colonies to provide personnel and materials. Every space-capable vessel would be needed for construction, and we'd have to do it all while hiding our activities from Council surveillance. How long would it take? Ambassador Chen asked. Assuming we can master the architect technology, -1 month for the basic infrastructure, another 3 months for testing and calibration. But that's best-case scenario, with no complications or Council interference. President Morrison looked troubled. 9 months. The Council's ultimatum expires in 36 hours. Dr. Kim nodded grimly, which means we need to buy time. We need to make them think we're complying while we work on the real solution, a deception operation. General Martinez mused. We publicly announce our intention to submit to the neural regression, begin the apparent preparations, while secretly building the Exodus infrastructure. Representative Jackson raised a concern. The council is stupid. They'll be monitoring our activities. How do we hide something as massive as planetary relocation equipment? We don't hide it, Dr. Kim replied with a slight smile. We disguise it. The dimensional anchors can be presented as massive neural regression facilities. The energy conduits as power distribution networks for the procedure. From a distance, the infrastructure for planetary exodus looks remarkably similar to the infrastructure for mass neural surgery. Ambassador Chen felt a chill of admiration for the audacity of the plan. We're going to fool them into helping us prepare for our escape. More than that, General Martinez added, if we do this right, we'll be ready to execute the exodus before they realize what we're actually building. By the time they understand the deception, we'll be gone. President Morrison studied the timeline projections. But what about other species? If we succeed, we're abandoning the rest of the galaxy to council rule. Dr. Kim's expression grew thoughtful. Actually, we might be doing the opposite. Think about what our success would mean: proof that the council can be defied, that their technological superiority is absolute, that there's another way to live in this galaxy, a demonstration. Ambassador Chen realized. Our escape wouldn't just be about saving humanity. It would be about showing every other species that freedom is possible. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the magnitude of what they were considering. They weren't just planning humanity's survival, they were potentially sparking a galactic revolution. General Martinez broke the silence. There's one more thing we need to consider. The architects offered to help us, but they haven't guaranteed our safety once we leave council space. We could be jumping from the frying pan into the fire. Dr. Kim nodded. True, but look at the alternative. If we stay, we lose our humanity. If we go, we at least have the chance to remain who we are, to grow into something greater. President Morrison stood up slowly. It seems we've found our answer. But I want to be clear about what we're committing to. This plan will require every human being to trust in something unprecedented. We're asking them to believe in a future they can't see, to sacrifice everything familiar for the possibility of something better. Ambassador Chen felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. Isn't that what humans have always done? Every great migration, every leap into the unknown, every time we've chosen growth over safety. The risks are enormous. President Morrison continued. If we fail, we don't just die, we die having sacrificed Earth itself. And if we succeed, Dr. Kim added quietly, we become the first species in galactic history to take their homeworld with them when they choose freedom. The vote, when it came, was unanimous. Humanity would attempt the impossible. Ambassador Chen stood before the same holographic display where the council's ultimatum had been delivered just 48 hours earlier. But this time, she was the one speaking to the galaxy. High Arbitrator, she began, her voice carrying the weight of defeat. Humanity has considered the Council's generous offer. After extensive deliberation, we have decided to accept neural regression therapy for our species. The Arbitrator's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been satisfaction, a wise choice. The Council is pleased that humanity has chosen to embrace its proper role in galactic civilization. Around the world, construction crews were already breaking ground on what appeared to be massive neural regression facilities. Council observation satellites would see exactly what they expected: a defeated species preparing for mental subjugation. We estimate the preparation phase will require approximately 9 months. Chen continued. Our population is large, and we want to ensure the process is conducted safely and efficiently. 9 months is acceptable, the Arbitrator replied. The Council appreciates humanity's commitment to thoroughness. However, we will be monitoring your progress closely to ensure compliance. Of course, we welcome Council oversight. In fact, we would appreciate technical assistance to ensure the process meets your standards. This was the most dangerous part of the deception. By inviting Council involvement, they risked exposure, but they also gained access to Council technology that could improve their own construction efforts. The Arbitrator's form brightened. Technical assistance will be provided. A council engineering team will arrive within the week to oversee facility construction. As the connection ended, Chen felt sweat beading on her forehead. Phase 1 of the deception was complete, but the real challenges were just beginning. 3 days later, Dr. Kim stood in what appeared to be a neural regression facility under construction in the Australian outback. Council engineers moved efficiently through the structure, offering suggestions and improvements that, unknowingly, made the dimensional anchor array more stable and powerful. The neural pathway redirects you're installing are fascinating, the lead council engineer commented. Far more sophisticated than our usual approach, we wanted to preserve as much cognitive function as possible while ensuring complete compliance, Kim replied, fighting to keep her voice level. Our people are very attached to their individual personalities. What the council engineer was actually examining was the quantum entanglement matrix that would link Earth to the dimensional fold space. The neural pathway redirects were the control systems that would guide the planet through its transition to mobile status. Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, construction of what the Council believed to be mass transport vessels was proceeding ahead of schedule. The ships were indeed designed to carry people, but not to neural regression facilities. They were evacuation vessels, designed to house Earth's population during the planetary transition. General Martinez coordinated the massive logistics effort from a facility that appeared to be a military neural regression command center. In reality, it was mission control for the most ambitious engineering project in human history. Status report, he called his team. Dimensional anchor array at 34% completion, came the first reply. Council engineers are actually helping U.S. optimize the quantum resonance patterns. Orbital construction at 41% completion. The Council supervisors think we're building transport ships, and they're helping us improve life support systems. Evacuation planning at 67% completion. Every major population center now has detailed protocols for rapid movement to orbital facilities. Martinez nodded grimly. And the real timetable, still on track for completion in 6 months, 2 months, ahead of schedule. The Council's assistance is actually speeding up our work. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The Galactic Authority that sought to enslave humanity was inadvertently helping them achieve freedom, but the deception came with a cost. Every day brought new psychological pressure as humans worked alongside the very beings who intended to lobotomize their species. Children asked questions about the strange construction projects. Adults struggled with the knowledge that their world was secretly being prepared for the most incredible journey in history. Dr. Kim found herself working 18-hour days, racing against time while maintaining the facade of submission. The stress was enormous, but it was nothing compared to the pressure Ambassador Chen faced during regular progress meetings with the Council. Your species shows remarkable dedication to this project, the arbitrator observed during one such meeting. Most civilizations require significant encouragement. To proceed with neural regression, we've learned the value of accepting reality, Chen replied, hating every word. Resistance would only lead to suffering. Indeed, the Council is particularly impressed with your facility designs. The integration of neural pathway modification with personality preservation is quite elegant. We may adopt similar approaches for future species. Chen felt sick. The Council was planning to use their fake neural regression technology on other species. Humanity's deception might inadvertently make it easier for the Council to subjugate future civilizations, but there was no turning back now. Earth's transformation was approaching the point of no return. Soon, the planet would be ready for its journey to the stars. Dr. Kim stood in the heart of the dimensional anchor facility, watching energy readings that defied everything she thought she knew about physics. The architect technology was working, but not in any way she had anticipated. General Martinez, she called over the communication system, you need to see this immediately. Martinez arrived within minutes, finding Kim staring at holographic displays that showed Earth's dimensional signature fluctuating in impossible patterns. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "The planet is responding to the dimensional anchors," Kim replied, her voice filled with awe and terror. "But it's not just accepting the modifications, it's adapting to them. Earth itself is changing." The displays showed gravitational anomalies around the planet, space-time distortions that seemed to follow organic patterns rather than mechanical ones. Most disturbing of all, the planet's magnetic field was shifting, creating new poles that aligned with the dimensional anchor array. "Is it dangerous?" Martinez asked. "I don't know," Kim admitted. "The architect's specifications didn't mention anything like this. It's as if the planet is awakening." Before Martinez could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Emergency communications flooded in from around the globe. Every dimensional anchor site was reporting the same phenomena, but the most urgent call came from the orbital construction platforms. Ground control were detecting massive energy surges from Earth's surface. "The whole planet is beginning to emit some kind of field." Kim and Martinez rushed to the observation deck, where they could see the impossible with their own eyes. Earth was glowing, not visibly, but in electromagnetic spectrums that revealed the planet wreathed in energies that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Doctor," Kim, a voice interrupted their shock. It was the architect communication system, which had remained silent since the initial contact. "Please respond immediately." Kim activated the system with trembling hands. "This is Dr. Kim. What's happening to our planet?" "Something we did not anticipate," the architect voice replied, and for the first time, it sounded uncertain. "Your species is more remarkable than we realized. The dimensional integration process has triggered a planetary consciousness emergence." Martinez leaned forward. "What does that mean?" "It means Earth is waking up," the voice explained. "The combination of architect technology and human consciousness has created a resonance effect. Your planet is becoming aware of itself as a living entity." Kim felt the ground beneath her feet pulse, a rhythm that matched her own heartbeat. "Is that why everything feels different?" "The gravity shifts, the electromagnetic changes. Earth is learning to control its own physical properties," the architect confirmed. "This has happened only once before in galactic history, when our own homeworld achieved consciousness 12 million years ago." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just preparing to move their planet, they were helping it become alive. "But there's more," the architect continued. "The Council's surveillance satellites are detecting the energy changes. They know something is wrong." As if summoned by those words, the facility's communication systems activated. The familiar crystalline form of the arbitrator appeared, but this time, its usual composure was replaced by unmistakable rage. "Humans," the arbitrator's voice thundered through the facility. "You have dared to deceive the Council." Ambassador Chen's voice came through the general communication channel from the UN building. "Hi, Arbitrator. I'm not sure what you're referring to." Silence. The arbitrator's form blazed with fury. "Our sensors detect massive energy buildups across your planet. These are not neuroregression facilities, they are dimensional manipulation arrays." The deception was over. After months of careful subterfuge, the Council had finally seen through their plan. "You believed you could fool us," the arbitrator continued, "but your planet's energy signature has betrayed you. What you have built is not submission, it is rebellion of the highest order." Martinez activated his communication system. "All stations, this is General Martinez. Operation Exodus is now active." "Repeat, Operation Exodus is active. Begin immediate evacuation procedures." Around the world, millions of humans began moving toward evacuation points they had been secretly preparing for months. The carefully planned deception was transforming into desperate action. "Your pathetic resistance ends now," the arbitrator declared. "The Council fleet is already en route to your system. You have 12 hours before we implement the final solution." "The final solution?" Chen asked. "Not mere containment," the arbitrator replied with cold satisfaction. "Complete sterilization. Your planet will be reduced to its component atoms. as an example to any other species that might consider defying Council authority. The communication ended, leaving humanity facing its darkest hour. They had 12 hours to complete an impossible evacuation, save 8 billion people, and escape with a planet that was still learning how to be alive. But as Dr. Kim watched the energy readings from Earth's dimensional anchor array, she realized they might have one advantage the Council hadn't anticipated. Earth itself was preparing to fight back. The Council fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a swarm of metallic locusts, their ships numbering in the thousands. At their head was the Arbitrator's flagship, a crystalline dreadnought the size of a small moon. General Martinez watched their approach from the orbital command center, where evacuation shuttles streamed past in an endless procession. Half of Earth's population was already aboard the orbital platforms, but they were still hours away from being ready for dimensional translation. Dr. Kim, he called over the chaos, how long do we need? Kim's voice came through the communication system, strained with exhaustion and fear. The dimensional anchors are at 94% synchronization, but Earth's consciousness is still developing. We're asking a newborn to perform cosmic surgery. Below them, the planet pulsed with energies that made the aurora borealis look like a candle. Flame. Earth's magnetic field had become something unprecedented, a complex, shifting pattern that seemed to respond to human emotional states as much as physical laws. All evacuation shuttles. This is command. Martinez broadcast. Increase speed to maximum safe limits. We're out of time. The first Council ships entered Earth's orbital space and immediately began deploying the stellar barrier technology. Massive energy projectors unfolded from their hulls, preparing to surround the sun with a field that would cut off all light and heat. But as the first projectors came online, something unexpected happened. Earth's gravitational field fluctuated, sending ripples through spacetime that disrupted the Council ship's formation. What was that? Martinez demanded. Dr. Kim's voice crackled with excitement and terror. Earth is defending itself. The planet's consciousness is recognizing the threat. On the surface, every dimensional anchor facility was now operating at maximum power. The energy readings were off the charts, but more importantly, they were synchronized. Earth wasn't just aware, it was focused, angry, and protective of the billions of humans calling it home. The Arbitrator's voice boomed across all frequencies. Planetary consciousness emergence will not save you. The Council has dealt with awakened worlds before. The flagship's main weapon systems charged, preparing to deliver enough firepower to crack continents. But as the weapon fired, Earth's magnetic field shifted, creating a deflection barrier that sent the energy beam spiraling harmlessly into space. Impossible, the Arbitrator raged. No planetary consciousness should be capable of such precise control so quickly. Dr. Kim was monitoring the planet's energy patterns from her facility deep in the Australian outback. What she saw defied all known science. General, Earth isn't just defending randomly. It's learning. Every attack the Council makes, the planet adapts faster than should be possible. How is that possible? I think Earth's consciousness is separate from ours. It's connected to every human on the planet. 8 billion minds thinking as one, channeled through planetary scale technology. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just awakened their world, they had created a collective consciousness that spanned an entire planet. The Council fleet, recognizing that conventional assault wasn't working, shifted tactics. Instead of attacking Earth directly, they began targeting the evacuation shuttles and orbital platforms. They're going after the civilians, Martinez shouted into his communicator. All defense platforms, protect the evacuation fleet. Earth's small military force engaged the Council ships, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Human vessels disappeared in brilliant flashes as Council weapons found their marks. Then the planet itself joined the battle. Gravitational anomalies began appearing throughout the solar system, pulling Council ships out of formation. Some vessels found themselves suddenly experiencing 10 times normal gravity, crushing their crews. Others were caught in gravity wells that twisted their hulls into scrap metal. But Earth's most devastating weapon was its magnetic field. The planet began generating electromagnetic pulses that disabled Council electronics, leaving their advanced ships drifting helplessly. This is impossible. The arbitrator broadcast, planetary consciousnesses require millennia to develop such capabilities. Dr. Kim understood what the arbitrator didn't. It's not just the planet, she called to Martinez. It's us. Every human is connected to Earth's consciousness. We're not just passengers, we're part of the planet's mind. The evacuation continued even as the battle raged around them. Millions of humans streamed into the orbital platforms, but it wasn't fast enough. The Council had brought planet-killer weapons and Earth's defenses. However, miraculous, couldn't hold forever. Dr. Kim, the architect voice suddenly interrupted. The dimensional translation can begin now. Earth's consciousness has reached sufficient coherence, but we still have 2 billion people on the surface. Kim protested. The translation will include everyone on the planet. The architect explained, planetary consciousness means the planet can protect all life during dimensional transit. Martinez felt his heart racing. You're saying we can take everyone, not just the people in orbit. Earth itself has become the evacuation vessel. The architect confirmed. The planet can now move through dimensional space while maintaining its biosphere intact. It was the moment they had worked toward for months, but it meant trusting everything to a planetary consciousness that was only hours old. All stations. This is Dr. Kim. Initiate dimensional translation sequence. Earth is going home. The phrase had become humanity's rallying cry during the months of preparation, but now it carried the weight of species survival. Around the planet, dimensional anchors that had been disguised as neural regression facilities revealed their true purpose. Space-time began to fold around Earth as the planet prepared for its journey into the unknown. The process was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. An entire world, complete with its atmosphere, oceans, and billions of inhabitants, preparing to step outside normal space. The Council fleet, recognizing what was happening, launched every weapon they possessed. Energy beams that could vaporize moons struck Earth's surface, only to be absorbed and redirected by the planet's consciousness. Gravitational bombs that should have torn the world apart were neutralized by localized space-time distortions. The translation field is destabilizing their weapons. Dr. Kim reported from her facility. Earth's dimensional state is making conventional physics unreliable. General Martinez watched from orbit as reality itself seemed to bend around their home world. How long until we can complete the jump? 30 seconds, Kim replied. But the Council is preparing something new. The arbitrator's flagship was deploying a weapon that dwarfed everything they had used before, a stellar disruptor designed to make the sun go nova, destroying the entire solar system. They're going to kill themselves just to stop us, Martinez realized. But Earth's consciousness had sensed the threat. The planet's magnetic field extended outward, creating a protective barrier around the sun itself. The stellar disruptor fired, its energy designed to destabilize stellar fusion, but Earth's field absorbed the attack and redirected it harmlessly into space. Inconceivable. The arbitrator's voice echoed across the system. You are a newborn consciousness. You should not possess such power. Dr. Kim understood what the Council didn't. It's not just Earth's power. She broadcast on all frequencies. It's humanity's will to survive, amplified by planetary consciousness. Every human desire for freedom, every dream of exploration, every refusal to accept limitations, Earth is channeling all of it. The dimensional translation reached critical phase. Reality wavered around Earth as the planet prepared to step outside the normal universe. The process was violent, chaotic, and beautiful, like watching the birth of a new form of life. Translation in 5 for 3 to space exploded, not with destruction, but with possibility. Earth disappeared from normal space, taking with it 8 billion humans, countless other species, and the dreams of an entire civilization. The Council fleet found themselves alone in a solar system that now contained only empty planets and a confused sun. Their target had achieved the impossible, escaping not just the Council's control, but the very framework of reality they controlled. Find them, the arbitrator commanded. Scan all dimensional frequencies. They cannot have simply vanished. But Earth had done exactly that. Guided by architect technology and powered by human determination, the planet had stepped into dimensional space, a realm between universes where different laws of physics applied. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Dr. Kim opened her eyes to find herself standing in the same facility where she had initiated the dimensional translation, but everything had changed. The walls seemed to pulse with organic patterns, and through the windows, she could see a sky filled with colors that had no names. General Martinez, she called over the communication system. Are you receiving this? I'm here, Dr. Kim, came the reply, filled with wonder. But I'm not sure where here is anymore. Outside, Earth hung in space that wasn't quite space, surrounded by structures that defied conventional architecture. The architect ships were there, but so were vessels from dozens of other civilizations, all refugees from the Council's tyranny, all species that had chosen freedom over security. People of Earth, the architect voice filled the communication channels. Welcome to the sanctuary. You are now part of something greater than any single civilization. Through the dimensional viewing ports, Kim could see other worlds, planets that had made the same choice humanity had, civilizations that had refused to accept limitations on their growth. Some had achieved consciousness like Earth, others had taken different paths to transcendence. This is incredible. Martinez's voice came through the system. How many species are here? 7,412, the architect replied, each one a civilization that chose growth over stagnation, exploration over comfort, freedom over safety. And now, humanity joins their ranks, but the celebration was interrupted by urgent alerts from Earth's new sensor arrays. The planet's consciousness was detecting something massive approaching through dimensional space. Dr. Kim, the architect voice carried new urgency. The Council has found us. They're sending their most powerful fleet through dimensional rifts. Kim felt her heart sink. I thought we were safe here. The sanctuary exists between dimensions, but it is not unreachable. The Council has been hunting us for millions of years. Your escape has forced them to commit resources they have kept in reserve. The threat emerging from dimensional space was unlike anything the Council had deployed at Earth. These were ships designed specifically for interdimensional warfare, vessels that could exist partially in multiple realities simultaneously. How many? Martinez asked grimly. 50,000 ships, came the reply. The largest Council fleet ever assembled. They mean to end the sanctuary once and for all. Earth's consciousness, still new but growing stronger every moment, reached out to touch the minds of its human inhabitants. 8 billion people suddenly felt the planet's determination, its refusal to be conquered or contained. But they also felt something else, connection to the other worlds in the sanctuary. Consciousness touching consciousness, species sharing, knowledge and strength across the vast expanse of dimensional space. This is it, Dr. Kim realized. This isn't just about humanity anymore. It's about the future of consciousness itself. The Council represents stagnation, control, the end of growth. We represent evolution, freedom, the potential for something greater. The battle for the sanctuary was about to begin, and it would determine whether the galaxy remained forever locked in the Council's static order, or whether it would be free to grow into something unimaginable. The Council's interdimensional fleet emerged from the rift like a metallic plague, their ships bristling with weapons designed to destroy not just matter, but the fabric of dimensional space itself. At their head was a vessel that dwarfed even the arbitrator's flagship, the Council seat, mobile headquarters of the galactic government and home to powers that had ruled for 12 million years. Earth's consciousness reached out to its human inhabitants and suddenly 8 billion minds could perceive the approaching threat directly. The experience was overwhelming, seeing through planetary senses, feeling the approach of enemies through gravitational distortions and dimensional fluctuations. Citizens of the sanctuary, a new voice boomed across dimensional space, not the arbitrator, but something far older and more terrible. I am the Prime Counselor, first among the ancients who established galactic order. Your rebellion ends here. Dr. Kim, still linked to Earth's consciousness, could sense the age of this being. It was old beyond measure, a creature that had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, that had shaped the galaxy's development for longer than humans had existed. You offer chaos in place of order, the Prime Counselor continued. You promise growth that leads only to destruction. For 12 million years, the Council has maintained peace by ensuring each species knows its place. You would destroy that stability for the illusion of freedom, the architect voice responded, carrying the weight of equally ancient authority. And for 12 million years, you have strangled the galaxy's potential. Evolution has ceased, discovery has ended, wonder has been replaced by compliance. Your peace is the peace of the grave. Better the grave than the chaos your growth would unleash, the Prime Counselor replied. Observe and learn what unbridled development produces. The dimensional space around the sanctuary shifted, showing images from deep galactic history, civilizations that had grown to powerful, species that had transcended physical limitations only to tear reality apart, worlds that had achieved consciousness only to go mad from the experience. This is why the Council exists, the Prime Counselor explained. Not to oppress, but to protect. The galaxy cannot survive unlimited growth. Order is the only path to survival. But Earth's newly awakened consciousness saw something else in those images, species that had been allowed to grow in isolation, without guidance or community. The civilizations that had fallen to transcendence had done so alone, without the support network that the sanctuary provided. You're wrong. Dr. Kim found herself speaking not just for humanity, but as a voice of Earth's consciousness. Growth without guidance is dangerous. Yes. But growth within community, consciousness connected to consciousness, evolution supported by wisdom, that's different. That's what we've built here. The Prime Counselor's response was immediate and devastating. The Council fleet opened fire with weapons that attacked the fundamental structures of reality. Dimensional anchors that had taken species millennia to construct were shattered in seconds. Entire worlds flickered between existence and void as the Council's reality bombs found their marks. But the Sanctuary fought back with everything it had learned over millions of years of resistance. 7,000 civilizations coordinated their defenses, sharing knowledge and strength through consciousness links that spanned dimensional space. Earth, the newest member of this cosmic community, found itself at the center of the defense. The planet's unique nature, consciousness born from the union of advanced technology and human determination, made it a nexus point for the Sanctuary's collective will. All consciousness connects to Earth, the architect voice called out. Channel your strength through humanity's homeworld. What happened next defied every law of physics the Council thought they understood. Earth became more than a planet, it became a focal point for collective consciousness on a galactic scale. The dreams, hopes, and determination of 7,000 species flowed through Earth's dimensional matrix and emerged as pure creative force. Reality itself began to reshape around the battle. The Council's weapons, designed to destroy and control, found themselves opposed by the universe's fundamental drive toward complexity and growth. Their reality bombs were neutralized by spontaneous creation fields. Their dimensional destabilizers were countered by spacetime that actively repaired itself. Impossible, the Prime Counselor raged. The universe does not take sides. It doesn't, Dr. Kim replied, her voice now carrying the authority of planetary consciousness. But consciousness does, and consciousness is what the universe has been trying to create since the first atoms formed. We're not fighting against natural law, we are natural law, evolved to the point where we can participate in our own creation. The battle reached its climax as the Council seat itself entered the fray. The ancient vessel began deploying the ultimate weapon, a device designed to sever the connection between consciousness and matter, reducing all thinking beings to mindless biological machines. But Earth and its human inhabitants had one final surprise. As the weapon charged, 8 billion humans made a choice that shocked even the architects. Instead of fleeing or defending, they opened their consciousness completely, broadcasting their dreams, hopes, fears, and determination across all of dimensional space. The effect was immediate and profound. Every thinking being within 1,000 light-years felt humanity's broadcast, their refusal to surrender their potential, their willingness to risk everything for the chance to grow, their absolute conviction that consciousness was worth defending. Species. Throughout Council space, civilizations that had accepted limitations for millions of years suddenly remembered what they had given up. The broadcast didn't just reach the sanctuary, it reached every suppressed dream in the galaxy. And the galaxy began to wake up. 1 year after the Battle of the Sanctuary, Ambassador Chen stood on the observation deck of New Geneva, a space station built in orbit around Earth in its new home dimension. Through the windows, she could see dozens of worlds that had followed humanity's example, planets that had chosen freedom over security and found their way to the sanctuary. The Council still existed, but their authority was no longer absolute. The galactic broadcast had inspired rebellions across hundreds of systems. Species that had accepted limitations for millennia were rediscovering their potential for growth. Status report. Chen requested from her aide. 17 new civilizations arrived this week, came the reply. The Zephyrians finally completed their planetary consciousness project, and 3 more species have initiated dimensional translation protocols. The transformation hadn't been without cost. The Council had retaliated against rebellious worlds, and the galaxy was experiencing the growing pains of sudden freedom. But for the first time in millions of years, evolution was accelerating rather than stagnating. Dr. Kim entered the observation lounge, her appearance changed by her permanent link to Earth's consciousness. Her eyes held depths that reflected the planet's growing wisdom. The architects want to know if we're ready for the next phase, she announced. Chen raised an eyebrow. Next phase. Apparently, the sanctuary was just the beginning. There are other galaxies out there, other forms of consciousness we haven't even imagined. The universe is bigger than we thought, and it's been waiting for someone to take the first step toward true galactic civilization. Through the station's windows, Earth hung in space that sparkled with possibilities. The planet's consciousness had continued to grow, becoming a beacon for species throughout the galaxy who sought to transcend their limitations. General Martinez joined them on the observation deck, his expression thoughtful. Any word from the Council? The Prime Counselor sent another ultimatum yesterday. Chen replied with a slight smile. They're threatening to seal off this dimension permanently if we don't return to their space and submit to neural regression. And a response. Dr. Kim's eyes sparkled with the reflected light of distant stars. We told them they're welcome to try, but they should know that consciousness, once awakened, doesn't go back to sleep easily. As if summoned by her words, Earth's surface began to glow with the soft light of controlled fusion reactions. The planet was powering up its dimensional engines, preparing for humanity's next impossible journey. Where are we going this time? Martinez asked. Andromeda. Kim replied simply. The architects say there's a civilization there that achieved galactic consciousness 2 billion years ago. They want to meet the species that figured out how to take their homeworld with them when they left. Chen felt the familiar thrill of discovery that had driven humanity since they first looked up at the stars. And after Andromeda, Dr. Kim said, her voice carrying echoes of planetary wisdom, we keep growing, we keep exploring, we keep proving that consciousness has no limits except the ones it accepts. Earth pulsed with energy as its dimensional engines reached full power. Around the sanctuary, thousands of other worlds prepared for the next phase of their impossible journey. They had faced the galaxy's ultimate authority and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The Council had tried to blackmail humanity into surrendering their potential. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the universe forever, proof that consciousness, community, and the courage to grow were forces more powerful than any weapon. As Earth and its companion worlds prepared for their next dimensional jump, a message broadcast across all frequencies, carried by the voices of 8 billion humans and the consciousness of their living planet. To any species listening across the cosmos, you are not alone, you are not limited, you are not required to accept stagnation as the price of peace. The universe is vast, consciousness is infinite, and the future belongs to those brave enough to grow. The transmission ended, and Earth vanished into dimensional space, carrying humanity toward adventures that would reshape the meaning of life itself. The galaxy would never be the same.